All right, we are back here again for another week of Pete's Power Rankings. Yes, week 4 of the NFL is here. I watched 99% of all the games from this past week. I'm taking notes, keeping tabs on things. I'm ranking all 32 teams from top to bottom. This is a power rankings list. This is not the standings. And I am it's been crazy the first 3 weeks. There's been a lot of movement. Teams we think are good, they're all of a sudden bad. Then they're good. We don't really know. Kind of got it settled in on our top 5-6 teams, and we pretty much know who's really shit in this league. But everything else, it feels like a lot of movement, man. Some teams are going to catch fire. Some teams are really impressing me. Other teams super letting down. But let's get into it. What you came here for. Let's start things off with our bottom tier teams, our teams 32 through 23. Okay, I was on the Bears being the worst team last week. They're staying here. Bears and Broncos, 2 absolute worst teams in this league right now. And guess what? They play each other this week. Hallelujah for all of us. Both these teams are just terrible. Bad coaching, bad defense, awful quarterback play in Chicago. I don't think Russell Wilson's actually been that bad in Denver. But if you give up 70, yeah, you're one of the worst teams in the league. Carolina was a little better with Andy Dalton, but still fell away late. Tennessee, awful performance against Cleveland. Maybe that win against the Chargers was just the Chargers being the Chargers. Don't know. Vegas looking bad. The Jets and Zach Wilson, absolutely terrible. They need a new quarterback, please, for the love of God. Houston Texans, spunky team. I said they were going to struggle early and then be good late. They may be a little bit better than I thought they would be early here. CJ Stroud, 300 yards in every single game so far this season for an average. Pretty awesome. Washington Commanders, housed by the Bills. We knew this team was a fraud. Wasn't really surprised by it, but Sam Howell, 4 picks in slightly inconvenient weather. He's had 2 awful games in bad weather now. Not conducive to playoff success. Arizona Cardinals, everyone was calling this team tanking. Everybody was out on this team. We had them at like 29. We said this is not the worst team in football. Horrible second half against the Giants last week. They bounce back. They're not tanking. They slay the mighty Cowboys. And this team is pretty spunky, man. Arizona, keep your eye out on them. Maybe they're just waiting for Kyler Murray to get back. And then at 23, the New England Patriots, 0-3, but you struggled with the Zach Wilson Jets. It looked like you were going to win this game, and then you almost threw it away in the second half. Bill Belichick really could be on the hot seat, but Mac Jones is just not that guy at quarterback. But let's get into our next tier of teams, 22 through 16. All right, the Saints at 22. I don't know what to do with the Saints, really. Derek Carr injures his AC joint in his throwing shoulder. Now, they're calling it week to week, and they averted disaster, but this team was horrendous when Jameis Winston took over. They didn't manage a single point in the second half. They were up 17-0, but then that defense bled that lead away. The offense did get them in position to make a game-winning field goal, and they missed it. Saints, I haven't been very high on them. The defense is pretty good. I just don't think they run the ball enough. They don't get the ball to their weapons. And now a Jameis Winston-led team, I'm not thrilled about them. Giants, they got housed by the Niners. The Niners are the Niners. The Giants need Saquon Barkley back. This team is kind of up and down. The Vikings, the most infuriating team in football. Kirk Cousins leads the league in passing. Justin Jefferson leads the league in rushing. Danielle Hunter leads the league in sacks. And they're 0-3. They're going to outcharger the Chargers this past week. And the schedule's not getting much easier. This is a team that's not bad, but they just lose every football game. It's crazy to watch. They put up good numbers. The defense makes plays, and they just find ways to lose. Indianapolis Colts, huge win going into Baltimore, getting that dub with homeless Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew at quarterback, took down Lamar. The defense really controlled this game. And honestly, if they didn't shit the bed in the fourth quarter against the Jags week 1, and the Jags have not looked great since then, this team could be 3-0. And they're really got a lot of juice to them. Matt Gay was awesome, 4 50-yard field goals. And Shane Steichen, it was a big-time hire for the Colts. Everyone liked him, and it seems to be paying dividends. This is a good team. They got a whole Jonathan Taylor situation looming, but maybe he comes back into the fold. Maybe they're able to trade him to Cleveland and get some more assets, but I really like the direction this team's going. Anthony Richardson, though, already picking up injuries is less than ideal. The Chargers, they played pretty good against Minnesota. Justin Herbert, out of his mind. I don't want to hear this nonsense about social media quarterback. He plays for the absolute worst coach in the NFL, Brandon Staley. It's not close. I've wanted him fired for years. I hate this man because he's holding back Justin Herbert and the Chargers. They had a great day. Keenan Allen was awesome, but they lose Mike Williams for the season with an ACL injury. Austin Eckler's already nicked up. The injury bug is a-coming for the Chargers. It's not great, but if they can just seem to put some stuff together and get rid of Staley, this is still an awesome offense that can win a lot of games. Pittsburgh, I'm loving what I'm seeing for them. They played a normal team this week. They played San Francisco and Cleveland the first 2 weeks. Those are two of the best defenses in football. They play a normal Vegas team. They control the game. The offense looks a lot better. They open it up. Now, the referees tried really, really hard to get Vegas back in that game. Some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. It's an embarrassment. The officials are embarrassment. They're hot garbage. Pittsburgh's trending in the right direction, though. In Tampa Bay, they kind of got waxed by Philly, but we kind of all knew this was going to happen. Philly had 11 days off to prepare for this game. Tampa's overachieved. They kind of got a reality check, and the Philly run game just kind of pushed them around. And Baker Mayfield threw his first pick. He wasn't the sharpest. The weather wasn't the best. It was pretty rainy, and that's not conducive for a team that's kind of like a balanced attack versus a team that will grind you into oblivion. So I'm not going to burn the Buccaneers yet, but it's they're on the fence. But let's get into what everyone came here for, the top 15 teams in the league. Number 15, a team I was very high on coming into the season, but they've been an absolute mess so far. Okay, at number 15, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Man, talk about massive letdowns. They play one good fourth quarter in week one to salvage a victory, but now back-to-back losses. They lose at home for back-to-back games, and this loss to the Texans is just completely unacceptable. The offense has been stagnant. Now, I know they're missing pieces on the offensive line, but Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, they're just not getting the ball to their playmakers. It's a lot of slow developing stuff. The protection hasn't been good, so Lawrence is having to run for his life a little bit. And the defense, this is a defense that was trending in the right direction, I thought, and they cannot make enough plays. They got absolutely torched by Houston this weekend. Now, you could say, well, the offense not scoring, keeping them on the field for a lot of this game really hurt them, but it's just like, Jacksonville, maybe they are actually bad, and last year was a fluke. Maybe it's a weird transition year for them. I just don't know, but this is a super surprising start for them, and I'm very, very worried if I'm a Jaguars fan. Now, they got back-to-back games in London for the first time, so we'll see how this whole thing transpires, but they could be coming back stateside 1-4. That's a horrible start, but the AFC South is still very open, so they could maybe come back from a slow start. Okay, 14, the Cincinnati Bengals back in the win column in 2023, picking up their first win on Monday night against the Los Angeles Rams. And this was a tale of two halves. First half was more of what we saw for the first 2 weeks of the season. Just horrendous offense, like inexplainable offense, bad play calling, bad everything, and they couldn't do anything. Now, the defense locked it down. They gave up a lot of yards, but the Rams were over in the red zone until late in the game, so they got big stops when they needed to, and then the defense took over the game in the second half, made Stafford's life miserable, and the offense finally came to life, got to a lot more of what we were used to seeing lots of rhythm, lots of quick passes, the mix in with the run, Joe Mixon with an awesome touchdown run, and it just looks so much more like the Bengals. And Joe Burrow wasn't the healthiest. They gritted this one out. They needed to get their first win. They keep the season going here. I think the Bengals may have finally figured out what's been ailing them. Now, they are banged up a little bit. Like I said, who knows what Burrow's calf's going to do, but I'd be pretty optimistic that the Bengals find themselves back into their winning ways. 13 back-to-back winners, the Seattle Seahawks. Look, I was getting worried about Seattle here. They got waxed by LA, but now LA may be better, maybe not. We don't know. I still think LA is pretty decent here. Week one, they huge road win against Detroit, who I think is very good. And then they kind of struggle with the Andy Dalton Panthers this week for about 2.5 quarters. But then they blew it out, which I love to see. You got to close bad teams out, and the Seahawks did that. Kenny Walker on the ground, he was gashing them. Geno Smith was pretty good. He did not throw a touchdown pass. He hooked up with DK Metcalf, though, for over 100 yards. I want to see more out of this passing game. Geno Smith still seems a little bit off here, but the defense was good in the second half. They do struggle to cover some receivers sometimes. Adam Thielen was Mr. Go-To for Andy Dalton, another 100-yard game. So I don't know what Seattle's kind of doing. I think they're, in this range. I think they're going to settle around this range. Maybe they'll scoot up a little bit into that 11-10 area, but I think that's just what the Seahawks are this year. You're going to have to run the football. Geno's not going to be as good as he was last year, and the defense maybe just is kind of okay, and they struggle to stop people still. So I like the Seahawks. I think they're trending in the right direction. I hope they're trending in the right direction. I'm just not so sure what their ceiling is. Okay, number 12, I got the Atlanta Falcons here down. I'm not going to panic about a loss at Detroit. Detroit had to win this game. They had to win at home. They could not drop back-to-back home games. It's kind of a must-win for the Lions. And the Lions are a good team. They really brought it. Now, Atlanta struggled to run the ball. Detroit was committed to stopping this run game. And it was kind of the sum of all fears and what everyone's kind of pointed out. Desmond Ridder's not a good quarterback. He cannot throw the football when he has to. Atlanta's got to do something at quarterback. This team is way too talented. They're like an ascending Jets team that just needs a quarterback to help make this thing run as smoothly as possible. The defense held on for as long as they could. They kind of broke late, but they kept this game close, and the offense couldn't get anything done. 6 points for them. So I'm not going to burn my Falcons stock yet. I still think this is a very good team. They need to figure out the quarterback situation. Maybe they trade for a guy. There's a couple teams that maybe you're trying to tank and sell out. There could be possible quarterbacks on the market. It'd be interesting to see what the Falcons do, or maybe they just stay pat and then maybe things don't go great and they draft a new quarterback in the draft. Desmond Ridder is not that guy. Okay, 11 here. I'm dropping the Rams down. I know the Rams 11. I know what's going on here. They're 1-2. They looked awesome week 1. They looked pretty good week 2. And you know what? They really should have won this game tonight. Awful in the red zone, awful on third down, 2 picks by Stafford. The protection was not good whatsoever. So they were just not sharp. They were not crisp. They were not clean tonight. And you need to do that to win games on the road in this league. Didn't love the effort from them down the stretch. They punted down 10 with 6 minutes left and 1 timeout. You kind of got to go for that there, Rams. You burned a lot of clock. This team couldn't get into the end zone. They had a touchdown called back on the first drive of the game, and they didn't find the end zone again until the last drive of the game. So it just was a real struggle for this Rams team against a very desperate Bengals team. The Bengals had to win this game. Hopefully things ease up a little bit for the Rams, but I'm not going to sell it. I still think this is a solid team. Hopefully Cooper Kupp shows back up eventually. Who knows? Maybe sometime Cooper Kupp comes back up because they need another guy. Puka Nacua is starting to get a lot of attention, and when you take away a young guy like that and you're out left with Tutu Atwell and Van Jefferson, nobody's really afraid of that. They also don't run the football. Run the ball, Rams. I don't know what it is with this McVay system that all these ex-McVay guys, they just don't run the football. Run the football sometimes. It helps. But yeah, Rams here at 11. Okay, number 10, I got the Green Bay Packers at 10. I really don't know what to think about this Packers team. Like, Jordan Love's okay. He was awesome against a horrible Bears team. He wasn't very good against Atlanta in the second half, and he really kind of wasn't good for like 3 quarters against the Saints. Now, they did get enough points to win. They got some momentum. They had the weird thing where they were down 9 or down 8. Yeah, they were down 8, and instead of kicking the extra point, they went for 2, made it 6, and that gave them a lot of juice in the second half. The defense is good, but they were bad in the first half. They gave up 17 points in the first half to the Saints. Love was getting sacked. He was uncoordinated. Now, you do have to say they're missing Aaron Jones, and they are missing Christian Watson on offense, 2 of their best players. I'd say they're 2 best playmakers on offense for sure. So that could be making things struggle. It's a big help for your young, I don't want to say young, new quarterback who's kind of young, kind of old. He hasn't really played, though. It helps him out when he's got his weapons there, and it makes life easier when you can run the football, and they just haven't been able to do that as effectively. The defense is kind of up and down. They give up a lot, then they stop a lot. I think Green Bay's kind of solid. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Seattle-Green Bay switch at some point in the season where Green Bay maybe slides back towards like 13 and Seattle slides up in this direction. Because I'm not really a big buyer of the Packers. They haven't beaten anybody good. They beat a quarterbackless Saints team and they beat the Bears. Everybody should beat the Bears. They're the worst team in football. And you lost to the Falcons, who I think is a good team, but they let that one slip. So Packers are just like, I don't know what to think about the Packers. Number 9, I got the Cleveland Browns back up here at number 9. I tell you what, folks, Deshaun Watson, sometimes just like, good God, there's something wrong with this man. We know there's something wrong with him, but he was a lot better than he was when Chubb went down against Pittsburgh. He was a little more confident. He still had the most insane play of the weekend with the lateral backer. I just don't know. Clearly, the guy doesn't think whatsoever. But he found his open receivers. He was pretty accurate. I think he was 30 for 33 or something like that, or 27 for 30, something like that. So it's about as good as you can get. His receivers are good. Amari Cooper's still a really slept on wide receiver in this league. People don't respect him. He's underrated. Really, they don't. Now, maybe Kareem Hunt can get some more to the backfield. I need some more out of this running game. Chubb is a huge hold to miss. But boy, oh boy, this Browns defense under Jim Schwartz is no joke. They are elite. They are top 3. They could be top 1. They play with a swagger. They've given up 21 first downs on the year. They've given up just 18 points. The Browns offense has given up 14 points. So they are lights out. This team should be 3-0. This defense is scary, and they're playing with a swagger that makes other teams scared. And Myles Garrett is a game wrecker. Top one of 4 guys in this league that can just ruin things for opposing teams. And when you have a defense this good, you're going to win football games. Interesting matchup coming up. They got the Ravens this week. I'd be interested to see how the Ravens bounce back and what the Browns can do, if they can keep getting more out of Watson, or if they're just going to have to rely on this defense. And defense can carry you only so far, but who knows? Maybe it carries the Browns far enough. But speaking of the Ravens, okay, number 8, I got the Ravens. They fooled us. The Ravens fooled us. We thought they were back, and then they do that shit and they lose to Indianapolis. Now, again, 2 not great games from Lamar in the offense in rainy, ugly weather. Now, this isn't great for the long-term prospects of the Ravens because the weather is pretty bad in the AFC North, especially in December and January. So if this offense is going to really struggle and go back to Lamar's going to have to run all over the place, he's playing running back again, this team is going to do kind of what it always does and fade late. And the defense tried, but they cracked. They cracked late. They gave up some 50-yard field goals. I know that's tough. 50-plus yard field goals hurt. But this game should have been over. The Minshew steps out of the back of the end zone. The Ravens then can't get a first down to end this game. Like, come on, guys. It's just a really disappointing thing from the Ravens, but I think they bounce back this week. They do have Cleveland. I want to see what this offense does against an elite defense in Cleveland, and I think the defense should be good enough to stop Watson and the Browns. So maybe a very low-scoring game in Baltimore against the Brownies. Oh, actually, I think the game is in Cleveland. But anyway, this is a very critical matchup in the AFC North, but I'm not going to burn the Ravens yet. I think they're still a good football team. Speaking of good football teams, Detroit, how does it feel? The Lions, huge bounce-back game against the Falcons. You threw away that game against the Seahawks. Otherwise, this Lions team 3-0. But now, maybe they aren't the same old Lions. 2-1, big win, dominated this game. They were committed. They said, we're stopping the run. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, they're not beating us. Beat us with Desmond Ridder. And he obviously couldn't. The defense has been the big concern with this team. They've been up and down, kind of good. They should be better, and they haven't been as good. They were excellent this week. And Goff is Goff. Now, Goff has thrown 3 picks in the last 2 games. Not what you want to see from Goff, but he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good. He's efficient. He makes throws when he has to. And this team just wins games. They have a solid running game. If they can kind of put it all together and not screw this thing up, I think Detroit has a very clear path to winning this division in the NFC and having a home playoff game for the first time in 30 years. So I do think Detroit has figured it out. I think they're going to put it together, but it is a tough one this week. Thursday night at Green Bay in Lambeau Field. That's a very hard game. Short week on the road, division rival for first place. If the Lions win that game in Lambeau, they're for real, for real. But we'll wait and see. All right, the Bills back where they belong. Two dominating performances after the weirdest week 1 game, Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers goes down 4 plays in. Maybe they put their foot off the gas. It's shocking. They assume they're going to win, and they lose to the Jets. That might go down as one of the weirdest results of the season, but bad Raiders team, bad Commanders team, and they dominate both of them. Josh Allen's not turning the ball over as much. The defense has turned it up a notch, shutting teams down in the red zone, forcing turnovers, scoring on defense. This is what the Bills need to do. I think the Bills are back to being one of the better teams. I think the 6 is where we're going to see the Bills for most of this season. I think they're really, really good. It's just going to be, can they put it all together, not screw around, not throw away the ball, actually stop people, run the football. James Cook, awesome. They actually have a run game. Finally, he's looked great the last 2 weeks, and that could ease some things for Josh Allen and the passing game, and maybe he doesn't feel so much pressure to have to do everything and create all the offense. So the Bills are trending in the right direction, and they're moving back into the top of the AFC. Okay, let's not freak out here, folks, but the Cowboys got to drop. Sorry, boys. Everybody's fears have come to fruition this week in Arizona. You lose Trayvon Diggs for the season, which sucks. You don't want to see guys losing for the season, but it's the Cowboys. They gave all their fans extreme hope, and they let them down instantly. They let all their fans believe again. Now, I think the Cowboys will be okay. They'll bounce back, but it really was the sum of all fears. Arizona did a good job of shutting down this elite Dallas pass rush. Now, the pass rush was still good, but it wasn't just game-wrecking, and it really showed the holes in the secondary. Stephon Gilmore was getting cooked by Hollywood Brown, and he got backups filling in there. They couldn't stop anybody. They could not stop this Cardinals offense when they gave them time to throw. That was everyone's concern. The pass rush is so good. Maybe the secondary, it's covering for a lot of those secondary issues. And then the offense showed everything we hate about this offense. Dak, horrendous pick, 0 tempo. They don't run the ball enough. Their wide receivers are good. They ain't that dude. They don't generate the separation. They can't make those elite plays when you have to have them. They just don't do it. CeeDee Lamb is good. I think of him as a 1A. He ain't an elite 1 guy. He ain't those guys yet. He ain't in the Adams, Hill, Jefferson, Chase category, and it's an insult to put him there to those guys because he just doesn't do it enough. He can cook bad teams. They love cooking bad teams. It's when they play teams, when they get punched in the mouth. And then Mike McCarthy, his atrocious red zone play calling has showed 2 weeks in a row. Now, the Jets are so awful, it didn't really hurt them, but he's bad, and this was the concern with the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy's bad play calling, bad game management, Dak not being able to will this team back when he has to throw the ball, when he has to overcome deficits. He threw one of the worst picks you're ever going to see an NFL quarterback throw this weekend in the end zone to lose this game. They had no tempo whatsoever. It was just all around a frustrating performance for Cowboy fans. Now, maybe they were overlooking Arizona. They got New England this week, and then they got San Francisco coming up. So it could have been one of those, we overlook our opponent and we get punched in the mouth. This is a grown man's league. They get paid to play football too. So it could be that, but for now, let's see how Dallas responds against New England this week. I need to see more from this offense. They're playing a good defense in New England, and the defense, they'll stop Mac Jones. I ain't worried about that. All right, Chiefs, back on the track, back on the winning ways. And guess what? They got a new fan. They got 1 million new fans. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, the biggest news in sports. But I was more impressed what they actually did on the football field than what happened in the press box or luxury suites. Awesome performance. Now, they played the Bears. The Bears was awful. We know that. We shouldn't take too much stock in the Bears, but they got back in sync. They needed this game. The Chiefs defense has been awesome through the first 2, now 3 weeks of the season. They've been dominating like a Chiefs defense never has before, like actually good, like top 7 maybe, top 10, which is crazy to think about with the Chiefs. But Mahomes and the offense, they got back healthy. They hit their guys. They found their plays. They ran the ball well. They threw the ball well. Now, do those things go away when they play a better defense? Maybe, but you needed a get-right game. Just get the offense running, get used to like, hey, we can do these things. Hey, we can make these plays. And the young guys maybe need some time to fill in these new roles, but I like what I see from the Chiefs so far. They are 2-1. They overcame that first loss to Detroit week 1. Now let's keep everybody healthy, and the Chiefs are going to be fine. They'll be in the AFC divisional round, maybe the AFC championship game. Again, in fact, they should be in the AFC championship game. They've never not been in the AFC championship game with Mahomes, but I don't think there's anything concerned with the Chiefs. All right, Eagles. This was the performance I wanted to see from the Eagles. They had 11 days off. They'd kind of like sleptwalk through 2 wins. Really, if Minnesota doesn't turn the ball over, it's a very different football game. Should have been losing at halftime to them, but I needed this. 11 days off, go into Tampa Bay, who's 2-0, and they bullied this team. Absolutely bullied them. Now, they run the worst play in football that needs to be banned. Officials officiate it right. We should get penalties because the Eagles just cheat. They pull Hurts. They push Hurts. It's the dumbest play in sports. But other than that, screw it. They can run the ball with DeAndre Swift. He's been awesome the last 2 games. He's dominating for them. Eagles plug and play backfield, but it looks like Swift is taking over as that guy for them. A.J. Brown bounces back. We knew he would get fed a lot. He was fed a lot. Devontae Smith didn't have a great game because they beat AJ. This is an awesome performance from the Eagles that I want to see from a team. Like I said, the schedule was soft enough that they can kind of work out some kinks, and it felt like they worked out a lot of kinks with that extra rest. And now the schedule's super easy because their hard game was the Jets. So this Eagles team could be easily flying out to 7-0, 8-0 for them. So Eagles back on top, but there are 2 teams that have just blown me away through the first 3 weeks. And boy, oh boy, I was worried about putting this team this high last week, and they proved me right. Okay, number 2, the Miami Dolphins. What can I say about the Dolphins? I was very impressed with them week 2, and I was like, man, I'm going to put Miami as number 3, and they didn't let me down. Miami, this team is awesome. 10 touchdowns, 70 points in an NFL game. 70. And they had a chance to break the record, but Mike's just such a nice guy. He took the knee. Now, Denver's not great, but good God, it was impressive. Devon Achane, my man out of A&M, back in action, got a full workload this week. He was awesome. He had 4 touchdowns. He went for 2 bills. It was just an awesome game all around. Tyreek had a big game. Tua had a big game. Mostert had a 4-touchdown day. It was just everything clicking. And maybe Mike McDaniel is a genius. Maybe he's a genius. This man's offense is awesome. You can't stop it. They're coming from whichever direction. They're running. Tua ran the craziest fake no-look pass, shovel inside I've ever seen. This team is so great offensively. Defense, they need to be better, but they're coming around. Vic Fangio defenses, man, they will get stops when they need to. They will turn up the pressure, and they've answered the call. Chargers needed a drive. They shut them down. Patriots needed a drive. Shut them down. Denver never had a chance. So I do like the Dolphins defense has been good in big spots this year. I want them to be more complete throughout the game. They do give up some points. They do let teams hang around sometimes, but they've been good in big spots. And this offense, if Tua can stay healthy, clearly he's a magic man and can run this thing like nobody else has ever run. I'm super high on the Dolphins right now, and we have a huge matchup this week against the Buffalo Bills. This is a big one, boys. It's in Buffalo. I kind of wish it was in the snow in December to really see this offense working in bad weather, but we have to settle for this week. Big boy game for those 2 teams. I'm excited for this one. But number 1, you know them, you love them, or you hate them. They haven't moved. Another dominating performance for this team. Okay, number 1, the San Francisco 49ers, not moving this team whatsoever. Dominated the New York Giants on Thursday night. And man, this team is just so good. It's complete. They're every bit as good. It's pretty much the same offense that the Dolphins run, a little bit different, but the same scheme. They obviously can run this offense and score points. Brock Purdy struggled a little bit in the first half, was awesome in the second half, lights out. All this guy does is win football games. He's undefeated as a starting quarterback in the regular season, and his only game he's lost, he played one drive, and he never finished the game. That's his only loss on his record. He's been lights out. The difference between the Dolphins and the Niners is the Niners defense is just so good. Their pass rush is unstoppable. Bosa is a madman. They have great coverage across the field. Now, they will get beat from time to time. Everybody does in this league. But when they need to clamp things down, they do. They force turnovers. They make life difficult. They shut down the running game of teams. And this team is just what gives them a little bit of edge. Got a great all-around unit here. It's Kyle Shanahan finally put it all together, finally hit pay dirt in the biggest of games. But for right now, I don't think the Niners are going anywhere from this number 1 spot unless they slip up. But I'd be very surprised if they slipped up. They're just so damn good right now. NFC kind of sucks. We were talking about maybe the NFC's down. NFC, AFC, it's all good at the top, ladies and gentlemen. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? What do you disagree with? What changes would you be making there? All right, thanks for stopping in. If you haven't already, click that thumbs up. Help us defeat the YouTube algorithm. If you enjoyed the content, hit that subscribe button. We have new sports content every single day. And if you want to support the channel more, click that join button. Join the channel memberships. You get cool channel badges, emojis, member-only chats, member-only videos, early access to videos, lots of cool perks. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share this video with your friends, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.